I'm going to tell you all a secret. I really don't like seafood. I really did not like it. I like it sort of now. Well, I sort of have to. Living in Hawaii, it's impossible to live without liking some sort of seafood. I liked fish, always fish, but I never really seemed to like oysters, clams, crabs, lobsters, especially crabs. Though something changed 2 years ago, and I dove into something what is called a seafood frenzy. I started to embrace all different types of seafood, and I found out that I actually really like clams, but I still don't like crabs. By breaking the shell, I was able to change. This was all part of me changing my worldview. My worldview before had been full of misconceptions, which I had created for myself. I'm going to take you back to when my whole worldview changed. It was about 2 years ago, in Jinotega, Nicaragua. You see, I had gotten the opportunity to travel with my class to go and help teach little kids English and Spanish literacy. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision, and the 2 weeks leading up to my flight, I was terrified. I'm not just going to say I was terrified. I was building up stories in my head of what would happen, and I was certain that everything would come true. I thought I would be kidnapped. I thought my bags would be stolen. It was full of crazy things that my mind had created as a form of a security blanket. It had taken everything I knew about the world and decided that's true. It will happen. Then it happened. I went on my trip, and I arrived at the airport. I grabbed my bags from the carousel, and I gripped onto them so tight, the strongest man alive would not be able to rip those bags away from me. Though the strange thing is, no one tried to take my bags from me. Who would have thought? No one wanted to take my bags. The only person who touched my bags helped me put them on the top of a bus. There we go. One misconception down. What's next? Well, let's go to the bus. I'd expected an old, really old bus, maybe with some vegetables on the back or maybe some pack animals. But no, it was quite a nice bus. It was one of those buses you might see somewhere in Paia or Haiku, just laying around, really nice and peaceful. The bus itself was nice. The inside was comfortable. There was a nice breeze. Oh man, here we have another misconception down. What else are we going to do? So then we started driving. And as we drove, I began to see that yes, some of my misconceptions were right. I knew it. I always knew I was right. Or so I thought. So I was driving, and then I looked outside the window, and there on the dusty beach road was some people sitting on the ground with some plastic bags. They were just sitting there like they had nothing to do because they couldn't do anything. They had no opportunity. Or so I thought. And yes, my misconception proved to be true. That just helped me solidify that everything that I knew about my worldview was correct. Everything that I had been taught, it was perfect. There was nothing wrong with it. But then we kept driving, and instead of my misconceptions falling down, they just became stronger as I saw some ruins of houses, some piles of rubble, piles of tin, some piles of concrete, but they had a little door attached to it. So it was a house. I could see this because there were some people living inside it. I thought, wow, that sucks that you have a house like that. And I felt pity for some reason. And there we go. My misconceptions were completely true. But then I reached a really big problem. When I arrived at Jinotega and met their children, everything began to fall apart. My shell began to crack. You see, kids have a way of changing everything. They're unimaginable little beings. Their creativity is so big and so strong, anything is possible. They can become president of an island of unicorns. They can do anything they want. And just being around them showed me that I can open myself up, just try new things. I found myself running around a classroom, jumping up and down like a monkey. Why was I doing this? Well, I was reading Curious George. I had to act like a monkey. It's the easy thing to do. So I did that. I began to open myself up to them. But I did not realize that I had actually changed until I began to drive back to the airport. You see, I drove back the same way, and I saw the same landmarks. But it wasn't just that. They were different. They were the same things. They had a whole new light and energy. Let's look at those people I saw before sitting on the ground, those men with their plastic bags in the dust. Well, the strange thing happened. A bus pulled up. A work bus. Wow, these people had jobs. They were going off to work. Like we go off to work just every day. We sit at the bus stop and we get our bus. This happens everywhere. And just like those kids were like, we are here, the people were the same way. And why I was feeling pity for them, I didn't know. For some reason inside of me, I thought that I had to feel pity. So we kept driving. Then we saw those piles of rubble and tin with the little doors hanging onto them. But there was a whole new color about them. They were purple, pink, even blue. And I'm not talking in the metaphorical sense. They were really bright and colorful. Those people just painted their houses because they wanted to have their house a pretty bright color. And I thought that was pretty cool. So then I took my plane back to Maui. I did not realize that anything had changed till I was back, because I began to decide to try new things in my life. I signed up for programs that a year ago I never would have thought that I would do. I went on a 3-week Arabic immersion, something I would have never have thought of. I tried to get my mom to let me go to Africa. He said no. We'll talk about that. Then we see, my worldview got changed. That was great. Good thing for me too, because where my worldview was, it was pretty sad. Not for me, but for the people around me. That they had to listen to what I thought when it was something like that. Well, let's talk about my worldview and why it turned out to be that way. Well, it all started when I was little. I always listened to what people told me and assumed that that was the truth. Even if it was just something little kids say to each other, like, Africa is bad, Asia is poor. I took it to heart. I took it really to heart. Thought, yes, this is the truth because someone told me. So I always applied this to images. I'm a very visual learner. And I find that when I look at an image, I learn from it. So the problem was, I never ever read the borders around an image. So I never knew the background. And you see, when you don't know the background of something, you can come up with really bad scenarios in your mind. I'm going to take you through a little simulation right now of how my worldview was before. So if everyone could please close their eyes, we're going to take a little journey. I want you to imagine you are young. If you are young, you don't need to imagine that you are younger. Say you are 5, 6, 8, be whatever age you want, preferably under the age of 10. Your mind is still open to creating new things, new ideas. And you're sitting in a doctor's office, or maybe a dentist's office. Wherever you're sitting, there's a smell of chemicals in the air, something that is used to sterilize. There's a TV playing in the corner, but it is a talk show. Boring. I mean, why would you want to watch a talk show? Dr. Phil. He's just saying someone's clinical problems, and you don't care. So you look in front of you, and what do you find? A National Geographic magazine. Glossy cover has pictures of maybe Africa, Somalia. Oh, who knows? Pick it up. Now I want you to open it. You see an image in front of you. It's by Sudipta Malik. You're looking at it. The photo takes place in northern India. You see people in it. They have their hands grasping into the air, trying to grab onto morsels of food. They want this food. They are hungry. They need it. There's a lot of colors in this image, but they're sort of a mismatch, sort of a haze. You don't really know what to make sense of it. But then there's an umbrella, an upside-down umbrella. It is floating upon their hands. Someone's using that so they can get more food than everyone else, because they want to have more food tonight. Now add to that image. What else do you see? Is there anything else? What do you feel you need to add to make this image yours? What does your mind tell you that is also in that image? Maybe there is a cat has its bones showing. Maybe there are people who just look like they're starving. Okay, now open your eyes. Keep that image in your mind. Let's see what it really looks like. Wow, this image looks pretty positive, doesn't it? I mean, I think it looks pretty happy. I mean, let's look at these people. Some of them have genuine smiles on their face. They look pretty excited to be there. Colors don't look that bad, actually. And that umbrella, when you look at it, is sort of comical. Now let's read the caption. Ankut and Kolkata. Wait, what is this? This is part of a festival that celebrates food. It is about for the god Krishna. Part of this tradition is that people try and catch morsels of rice that is thrown upon the crowd. This will be good for blessings. Wait, what I've just told you added a whole new element to it. You now know that there's some spiritual background to it, and it doesn't seem so harsh. You now know more about the image. But the thing is, with my past worldview, I never would have tried to see what was past the image. I would have taken the face value for granted. This is what it is. This is what it will always be. Now that I look back upon images I saw as a child, I think they look pretty nice. I look back at the names of countries I thought of as a child, and I see them differently. This is very important. We cannot let what we know about things define what they are. We need to look at them one more time. See what else we can see. What is around it? Maybe if it's an article, there's a paragraph right next to the image that shows something else. We can't just make assumptions by what we see with our eyes and what we think we know. Now, why should we care? Well, how would you feel if you could do something differently every day and find out something completely new about yourself? I did that for a while. I did that over my spring break. I tried something different, and I saw something new. Instead of going to Baldwin, like I always do, I went to Hokipa for once. It was different. It made my day a little bit different. Yes, I got sunburned, so there was a negative aspect. But I met some new people, and that was great. You just have to be willing to put yourself out there. If you don't put yourself out there or try new things, you're going to be left as you are right now. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. How are you supposed to really know if you don't try something else? Honestly, the positive outcomes outweigh the negative. If you don't try and crack your shell, how are you supposed to know if there's anything else out there? Maybe your worldview can change a little bit. I'm not saying that by just doing everyday things like eating broccoli instead of carrots, your whole worldview will change, but maybe you can do some bigger things. Maybe when you travel, you can travel somewhere else. Maybe if you're just going to the same city, you're going to Paris, let's say. Don't just go to the Eiffel Tower for the 100th time. You're not going to like what you see. There's a tourist trap. It's designed for you. Go somewhere else. Go on that other street. Maybe you'll see something completely different. Go somewhere far that's different. Go somewhere medium far that's different. Go down a different road. If you always take one road on Maui, take a different road. If there is no different road, take the same road and maybe look on outside the other side of the window. Just try something else. It's not that hard. Do go outside and try new things. Do not just sit inside and try new things by going onto your laptop and going to Facebook to try and do new things. Because it is a lot easier to just step outside and maybe something will be different. So, okay, I've shared with you how my worldview changed. I've shared with you how really bad my worldview was before in my little simulation. And I'm trying to get you to go outside and do new things. Think about it. How are we supposed to find a better tomorrow if we cannot crack our shell today? Thank you.